Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss, who I deployed with in 2017. And so, it was, that was a hard pill to swallow. And, excuse me. Hey, how's it going? I am a medical retiree. So, I did 14 years in the Army. I had every intention to do 20 years. But unfortunately my back had other plans. I actually, I broke my back on a jump in 2017, and 6 years later, it kind of caught up to me, and I was supposed to go to Italy next. I was a paratrooper, and I had been at Bragg, and then they get to send me to Fort Polk, and then I was supposed to go to Italy next. And anyways, they did an MRI, and they said not only are you not going to be in the not going to Italy anymore, you're not going to be jumping out of airplanes, and you'll probably be out of the Army in the next 6 to 8 months. And so, it was kind of a shock because, I prepped the whole family and everything we were all excited to go to Europe.
Italia.
Yeah, Italia. But, essentially it kind of rocked our world. And then, lo and behold, they were pretty close with their estimate. And, thankfully, what's the name of the program, where they do your veterans benefits at the same time as their
IDES, yeah, the Integrated Disability Evaluation System.
Yeah. So, thankfully, with the IDES, the evaluation system where they do, it's the same time they do your PEB and the IDES at the same time. So they actually, calculate up your VA disability at the same time that you're going through that process and getting all of your CMP exams while you're still on active duty. By the time that I was medically discharged and had finished my terminal leave and was out of the Army, it was almost instantaneous VA benefits kicking off. But since I didn't meet the full 20 years, I kind of, I went on with those benefits to be, P&T, but, I also have the opportunity to work. I've held a job since I've got out. Sometimes it's been hard, but it's definitely it's a blessing and a curse because I do miss I miss that job. You don't sign on to a profession like that and expect to do a career out of it without having some kind of love for it or some kind of understanding of maybe that's what I'm on this earth to do, at least to some extent. And so, I do often look back on it fondly, and I also, regardless of political climate and all that stuff, the withdrawal that hurt a lot of people, and the fact that we lost, the 13 in Abbey Gate, that was incredibly just. It was an insult on top of a tragic, on top of feeling abandoned, all those things. But a lot of what my what I characterize as being my personality and my fondest memories are those times that I had in the military. And so it's just, it's one of those things where I was one of the ones that was lucky enough to receive that medical retirement. I have friends who, had major injuries during deployments. Whether it was, I have a buddy who had like 4 lung diseases when we came back because he had to use some kind of, just crazy stuff, the burn pits and all that. And it's kind of a fight. It always seems like it's an uphill battle to get to that point where you get that compensation that honestly you qualify for, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you did 14 years, you were medically retired. Did it ever cross your mind to just suck it up, bite the bullet, and make that 20 so you would receive that 20-year retirement on top of VA compensation, because right now, as it stands, you only get either or. The Major Richard Starr Act, which hopefully will be passed. To be honest with you, it doesn't look like it. But if it is passed, you right now would be able to receive DOD retirement from 14 years being medically retired and VA compensation. Back to the question, did it ever cross your mind to be like, man, can I suck it up for 6 more years or 5.5 or whatever that number was for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that was kind of the plan. Like I said, that my injury happened in 2017 and I retired in 2023. Well, that was my so the catalyst for everything, and I'll go back to the Afghan withdrawal. You know that you know, we lost, what was it, 11 Marines, 1 Navy corpsman, and Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss, who I deployed with in 2017. And so, you know, it was that was a hard pill to swallow. And excuse me. So that was, you know, that was a big deciding factor. Before that, I had a warrant officer pack it in. I was pursuing it pretty adamantly, submitted everything to the board, and that was in August. And then what was it, the 26th? I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, then that unfolded the way it did, and you know, I was like, you know what, I'm done playing hurt. You know, obviously, I was very bitter, and you know, and I think just about anybody would be at that point. Everybody that I have spoken to that was an Afghan vet or an Iraq vet, even Vietnam veterans, you know, they see the tangents in that, and how or the parallels, excuse me, and how, you know, I mean, God bless them, they had it so much worse because they didn't have the support when they came home. But you know, it does leave you kind of bitter, and you know, and I ultimately started the process of actually telling the truth about, you know, how much pain I was in every day, you know, what my mental health situation actually was after multiple deployments, and you know, all the stuff that we had been through. I mean, just coming out of the COVID lockdowns and all that crap, you know. Anyways, I don't want to get too far into that, but
Yeah, you're good.
yeah.
So you broke your back in 17. When did you actually medically retire?
2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So I 2017, and I say I broke my back. I broke my tailbone, had compression fractures in my spine, and severely damaged and got rid of multiple discs in my lumbar spine. So it wasn't like a full-on, you know, broken spinal cord, but the vertebrae were cracked. It was just a really hard landing from jumping out of an airplane, and so I deployed 3 months after that. So that was in March of 17. By June, we were on the ground in Afghanistan, and I was just like, I'm not going to miss this deployment. And I think that any, you know, grunt would say the same thing. Like, I'm not going to let this
for sure
fight. And so, yeah, that rotation, I was 11 Bravo. My first deployment was in 13. I was actually a combat engineer doing route clearance stuff. But yeah, so anyways, came back in 18, and I switched out of the infantry to kind of do something that was a little bit easier on the body. Switched to electromagnetic warfare, went down to, and that's when I moved to Fort Polk, also as a paratrooper there. So, you know, it didn't get that much relief on the body because it's still jumping out of airplanes. But and then by the time that I think it was right around spring of 2022, you know, I had found out that all that stuff had been canceled, and because, you know, I started the process to really start talking about what was wrong, right? Because that's the biggest thing I give advice to guys that are still in, is make sure you're communicating. Like, make sure that you do go get seen for those injuries, because I mean, it's okay, you know, you're going to go hard, you're going to try to be the best that you can possibly be just because of that guy or gal next to you. But if you're hurt, make sure you're getting it documented, get treated right, and get back in the fight the way you should be. But you know, when you start telling the truth, when you go, especially in the culture the way it was, where you're like, I'm good, I'll just suck it up, rub some drive on. When you do that for so long, it does catch up to you. I tell you from experience. Um, but yeah, once I started to do that, and everything kind of fell into place, I got orders to Italy, and then they got canceled, and that was all based on an MRI on my back. We're like, whoa, you're missing some stuff, and yeah, from there it just kind of went through the all the processes that the DoD does to start that retirement or separation, and yeah, after that it was just a matter of time of waiting for the CMP exams and moving on to get on out and go on terminal leave and move on to the next chapter.
All right. Well, dude, definitely thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. And I know from having 4 kids myself that having a DoD retirement and some VA compensation can definitely help a family of 6.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. And have a good day. Have a good rest of your evening. Beautiful land you got there, by the way.
Thanks, brother. I love it.
All right.
Love you, man.
Later.
Thanks. Yep. Bye.